What if I told you that one of the most dangerous rivalries in the world today, between Iran and the United States, started with a handshake and ended in silent wars, assassinations, and a game of nuclear threats? A conflict that spans 70 years, spreads across 4 continents, and involves proxy militias, oil politics, revolutions, and even a spy operation that toppled an entire government. This is not just a political feud. This is the unfinished Cold War of the Middle East. Welcome to Next Fact. This is the true story of the Iran-America conflict and how it's tearing the region apart even today. In the early 20th century, Iran, then known as Persia, had something the West desperately wanted: oil. In 1908, British companies discovered massive oil fields in Iran. But by the 1940s, it was the Americans who had become interested in Iranian politics and business. At that time, the US and Iran were not enemies. In fact, Iran looked up to America as a modern democratic ideal. But that all changed with one man, Mohammad Mossadegh. Mossadegh was Iran's prime minister in the early 1950s, and he did something revolutionary. He nationalized Iran's oil industry, kicking out the British oil companies. Britain was furious, and America, it secretly launched Operation Ajax, a CIA plan to remove Mossadegh from power. In 1953, the CIA successfully orchestrated a coup. They replaced Iran's democracy with a monarchy, led by the Shah of Iran, who would now rule with full American support. This was the beginning of Iranian distrust toward the US. It wasn't just politics, it was betrayal. The Shah was rich, westernized, and brutally powerful. With America's backing, he modernized Iran, but at a terrible cost. He jailed opponents, he tortured dissidents, and used American-trained secret police, Savak, to silence anyone who questioned him. For the people of Iran, the Shah became a puppet of the West. And when the people finally rose up, the world watched in shock. In 1979, the people of Iran overthrew the Shah in a massive revolution. Out went the king. In came Ayatollah Khomeini, a religious leader who publicly condemned the US, calling it a symbol of imperialism and foreign domination. That same year, Iranian students stormed the US embassy in Tehran and took 52 American diplomats hostage. The standoff lasted 444 days. It humiliated America and sealed the enmity between the two nations. From here, there was no turning back. In the 1980s, the US backed Iraq, led by Saddam Hussein, in a brutal war against Iran. Over 1 million people were killed, yet America supplied Iraq with weapons, intelligence, and even chemical precursors. Iran never forgot. By now, Iran was isolated, but it had one powerful strategy: proxies. It began training and funding armed groups across the region, including Hezbollah in Lebanon. In the 2000s, the world discovered Iran's secret nuclear facilities. The fear was clear: Iran might be building a nuclear bomb. The US and its allies responded with crippling sanctions. Iran's economy began to collapse, but then came negotiations. In 2015, a breakthrough: the Iran nuclear deal. Iran agreed to limit its nuclear program. In return, sanctions were eased. But in 2018, President Trump withdrew the US from the deal, and tensions exploded once again. In 2020, the US carried out a shocking drone strike, killing General Qasem Soleimani, Iran's top military commander. For Iran, it was an act of war. Iran responded by firing missiles at US bases in Iraq. Thousands mourned Soleimani in the streets. Once again, the two countries stood at the edge of open war. But this war, it's rarely fought directly. Today, Iran and the US fight through proxy wars. In Gaza, Iran supports Hamas. In Lebanon, it supports Hezbollah. In Yemen, it backs the Houthis, who attack US and Israeli-linked ships in the Red Sea. And then there's Israel, America's closest ally, Iran's sworn enemy. In 2024 and 2025, Israel bombed Iranian targets in Syria and Lebanon. In return, Iran launched direct missile strikes on Israel, a historic escalation. But behind the scenes, American weapons, funding, and intelligence are deeply involved. The Iran-America conflict is now a multi-front silent war playing out in Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, Yemen, and even cyberspace. This isn't just a political rivalry. It's a story of betrayal, revenge, and power, built over decades. A democratic leader was overthrown. A revolution changed a nation. Missiles fly, oil prices rise, and the people, they keep suffering. The US and Iran may never fight a full-scale war, but their shadow war is already reshaping the world. And the scariest part? It's far from over. This was Next Fact, where history speaks louder than headlines. Subscribe for more deep stories the world forgets, but shouldn't.